is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Harry Potter, the Rereading, Chamber of Secrets, Chapters 6, 7, and 8, Gilderoy Lockhart, Mudbloods and Murmurs, and the Death Day Party. In these chapters, we hear what will become a notorious slur for the first time. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Yep.
It's weird, like, how familiar we grow with this. And yet, in this instant, how, like, shocking it is that this is the first time.
Yep. I felt the same way reading it. I was just, because, you know, after a certain point, I feel like we hear that word every other page. Mm-hmm. But this first time, and you know, I legit forgot that Harry and Hermione don't even really know what the fuck it means. Mm-hmm. They know it's terrible, but they don't know full implications of the slur.
And they know it's terrible just because of how everyone reacts.
Yes.
Like, it's not...
Yeah, and plus who said it and how it was said.
Right, exactly.
You know, they knew it was an insult. They knew how particularly bad it was by how everybody reacted. You know.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get this party started, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Natasha.
I'm Rashawn.
And we both read these books before. You're both spoiled. Dun, dun, dun. And the reread on this is like, I think you were saying the other day that you were surprised that the reread has been so interesting, and I have to agree. Mm-hmm. It's just, even I'd already read them when we did the first time, so I wasn't really sure what it was going to be like having just done it and already read them, and then doing it again and already having read them. Like, I was like, is this going to be just super boring? But now I get to, like, point things out to you that I wasn't allowed to say anything about. So it's kind of great. So, Chapter 6, Gilderoy Lockhart. This is Harry's first day, and it's not going super well.
This fucking guy. Oh, I forgot how insufferable he was. I really did. He is so terrible. Oh, my God.
Agreed.
And you know what else I forgot? How fucking incompetent he was.
Yes.
My memory is so focused on just how much of a douchebag he was that I had forgotten completely the part about how he can't do shit either.
Yep.
And how he's so much talk. So.
Yeah, the fact that he can't do shit and that he's like basically figured out the exact way to hold other people responsible for his own bullshit. Mm-hmm. He's kind of like the ultimate con man, really. And I don't think I fully appreciated it.
Yeah. I wanted to say love, but love is not the right word. I don't love this. I don't love it at all. But the thing that he does where he immediately ascribes his sensibilities to Harry when he does the thing about, oh, you know, I gave you a taste for fame and now you want more, but you can't get around handing out signed copies, you know, of your picture. It's too early for that. And he gives him the same little talk about, you know, flying the car to the school, and I was like, that he doesn't know Harry at all.
Nope.
But here he is, and it's just because that those are the sorts of things that Lockhart would do and think.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I can't, like, Lockhart can only imagine being as famous as Harry Potter without putting any effort into it at all. He completely just fell into being
Yeah.
famous, and I'm sure
Yeah.
Lockhart is super envious of that.
And he says, Lockhart even says at one point that, Harry is much more famous, as a kid than he was, because he says, I was a nobody as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But Lockhart doesn't think that Harry is as famous as he is as an adult.
Yeah.
Which I guess on one end, Lockhart has much more celebrity, really,
sure,
than Harry does. But I think Harry is probably more famous, if it makes sense that I'm saying there's a distinction between those two words.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, a comparison.
Yeah, I can't really, because we don't really have a lot of chosen ones walking around that we can, use as an example. But as far as Lockhart is concerned, he is like 10 times as famous as Harry is.
Yeah, it's like I don't think I fully appreciated the kind of statement that Rowling was kind of making with this, which is just like the difference between the two of them and the way that they handle fame. But it's just I keep thinking about the person that she says she based this on, that it was based on a real person. And I just cannot imagine. Because she said in interviews that person would never dream Lockhart was based on them. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll ever know. Maybe if the person dies.
Dying. That's true, actually. Like, if they're not in any danger, but that's almost worse, right? Like, once somebody's dead, you can't just go out and be like, oh, yeah, they were the scumbag.
No. You're not allowed to say that shit.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Maybe when she dies, then.
Right.
That way she's not around to give a fuck about it anymore.
She'll have some memoirs that she can release.
Yeah. I love, too, that we meet Colin in this book. And we meet him right at a time where Harry is dealing with this idea of fame in this particular way that Lockhart is talking about.
Right.
Because Harry was famous when he got to Hogwarts, but again, it wasn't this type of celebrity type of fame.
Mm-hmm.
So, but with Colin, it kind of crosses over into that because he's doing the thing.
Yeah.
Can I get your picture? Can I get your autograph? I want to follow you around,
And with Colin, it's really interesting because Colin is Muggle-born, right? Like, he's talking about how he's taking these photos to send to his dad because he doesn't know anything about Hogwarts. So it's almost like how because of the fact that he didn't grow up with this, that Colin just like found out he was going to Hogwarts and then just got every book that he could find. And so for him, the celebrity of Harry Potter is very new and fresh, versus somebody who's heard of him where it's like he's more of like a legend than a real person. And once you meet him, you're just kind of like, oh, shit. And it's more like you're bemused, I would think. Whereas with somebody who's just read about Harry and like within the past few months and then meets him, it's like, oh my God, you're the guy from the book. Oh my God, no way.
Yeah. Colin is like legit starstruck. Colin is to Harry like Mrs. Weasley and them without the weird sexual thing, or to Lockhart, they're like legit just fans.
Right.
And yeah, that's an interesting point about Colin too, because he's so new to this world that Harry's myth or legend that surrounds him has like a very specific meaning in the wizarding world. It has like real significance.
Right.
He practically vanquished, an evil overlord. As far as the legend is concerned, anyway.
Right.
But what does Harry mean to Colin? Like, it doesn't have that weight, Yeah,
that's true. I don't know. Like, maybe it does have, like, it has its own weight just because it's so, because so much has been revealed to be possible so abruptly that he probably thought was impossible. That I don't know. That's an interesting question.
I remember doing the first read being a little sad because I felt like Harry would have. I remember being frustrated that Harry was so exasperated by Colin's presence. Because I felt like, well, he's Muggle born. You're not a Muggle, but as far as you are as uninformed about this world as he is. You know, you grew up in the Muggle world. You know anything about Hogwarts. You should take him under your wing. But Harry is just so annoyed by him.
Yeah. Harry has too much to worry about to be taking other people under his wing. He's busy. Yeah.
And even though Colin doesn't mean it, he keeps putting Harry in these really uncomfortable situations that get exploited by either Malfoy or Lockhart. Poor Colin.
And then, Colin dies later.
Yeah. I say again, poor Colin.
Right. Did you see, I feel like somebody shared in the group, a story about Colin. And tracking what it was like for him meeting Harry and being Muggle born and this momentous, just the change because he goes and then his little brother, it turns out, is also a wizard and how his whole life changes. And then despite the fact that this community that just told him, hey, you're one of us, is like, psych, you're not one of us, fuck off. He puts it all on the line, even though he's a tiny child.
Yeah.
And it was really heartbreaking. And whoever posted that, go to hell. Thanks. God. Anyway. So, the Howler.
It's so funny.
Yeah. It's not like he didn't deserve it.
Yeah. So, Harry and Hermione don't seem to have any idea what the fuck this thing is. Ron is terrified, as well he should be. And even Neville was like, oh, dude, this is going to be terrible for you. But you should totally just get it over with, because if you don't, it gets... And we don't find out what happens, but Neville says, once I waited too long to open, and then he just goes, it was awful. But he doesn't tell us what happened. What happens to the Howler if you wait too long to open it?
I think I read somewhere that they explode, but I don't remember where I read that.
This one starts to, smoke and shit.
Yeah.
Because Ron is kind of taking too long to open it, so I guess explosion is not, unreasonable to think that's what would happen next. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the one downside, because I feel that this was valid and Mrs. Weasley had every reason, but at the same time, the fact that their enemies hear it and get to kind of use that against Ron later is just a bummer.
Yeah. Well, but that's how parents are, though.
That's true.
They don't give a fuck. They yell at you in front of your little friends. They don't give a shit about your little ass friends.
Oh my God.
They really
your
don't.
Little friends.
I am not one of your little friends. Oh my God. My mom used to fucking, holy shit. Good Lord. She would give me the business in front of all my friends. And that's what you do. You laugh and you point. Well, you don't laugh and point while she's there. Right. You wait for her to leave. And then you laugh and point. And, depending on who's there, you might be a chorus of, ooh.
Yeah, I remember that one. That one.
So, Molly doesn't care about these little kids. She's going to yell at Ron, and she doesn't give it a second thought. And she was right to do it.
Oh, totally. Yeah, my mom didn't, yell at me in front of people, and that made it worse, in a way. She waited until we were alone, and then she was scary. And I think about it now, and I'm just like, oh, yikes. Yeah, she was not to be... Oh, Mom. There was just she never hit me. She hit me one time when I was in high school. was like the only time.
Oh, it's kind of late to be getting hit.
Yeah, she hit me in the face, and
oh shit,
yeah, she slapped me because it was like a real like you little bitch kind of moment.
I would die. I would shrivel up and die.
My best friend was like in the room.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was all kinds of awkward. And it was one of those things that like it really, because it's one thing when your parents are like slapping you because you're sassing back, which was what it felt like, but I hadn't actually. What it was I had been making hot cocoa for me and my friend, and I forgot that even after you turn off the burner, it's still warm. And I took the lid off the cocoa and put it too close to the burner, so the lid like started to melt. And I didn't even notice it. I was still making stuff. It didn't like make that much of a smell, but my mom came out of her bedroom, and my mom was just super antisocial. She did not like it when I had friends over to begin with. And for me to have friends over and then do this was like extra not okay. So she saw that and got in my face about it. And I was already so like tired of her giving me a hard time just about being able to have friends over, that this felt like you wanted something to be pissed about. And oh, look, there it is. I gave you something. Are you happy now? Like, that was kind of how I felt about it. And then she slapped me. I didn't say that, but I could tell she knew that I was thinking it.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was, I would go over to my friend and I'm like, I think that you should probably go home. She's like, yep. Probably.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the Howler, and they then go to what is it? The greenhouse with Professor Sprout. And then we get some
illustration.
Right? What do you think of this?
I don't care for it.
It's like a fucking nightmare.
I didn't like the Mandrake period in the story. I didn't like. No little Sprout babies. No.
Yeah. And
then this illustration is horrifying. They're like little tiny.
Fetuses.
No. They are. It's like a page full of fetuses with like leaves growing out of their head, and their faces are all misshapen. They're all curled up, and no.
No.
It is just awful.
It makes me like, okay, so I'm reading this book for the book club right now. I'm not going to name what book it is, just because if you don't know what it's about, I think it's probably more fun. So I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But the book is in general about a kind of a zombie apocalypse. And the thing that is causing this to happen, the infectant, is a fungus. Much like the fungus that takes over ant bodies and forces them to high places and then sprouts out of the top of their head. You know that fungus?
No, I did not.
Did you not know? Okay, so yeah, there's this fungus that basically embeds itself in the body of an ant, takes over its nervous system. So the ant looks like it's still alive, but it's not. And the fungus is driving the ant like a fucking car and makes the ant climb all the way to a really high place in the jungle.
What?
Then it,
what?
Yeah. Then it sprouts out of the ant's skull where it has made its little nest. And there's like a branch that comes up and spores. And the spores go all over the jungle to infect other ants.
No.
Yeah. Did you not watch Legion?
You take it back.
That's a thing. Yeah. So this
that was in Legion?
It's talked about in Legion briefly, but it's memorable. But yeah, that is a very real thing, and the conceit of this is that whatever that was evolved, and it's not clear whether it evolved on its own. It's suspected that somebody helped it along as like a kind of chemical warfare, and it got out of hand. But But
as chemical warfare is wont to do.
Right. But I guess it's not chemical. I guess it's biological. But yeah, this, like, people start to sprout after a while. Like, they become zombies, and the zombies are shuffling around and trying to eat people and stuff. But then, once their body breaks down enough, the fungus bursts out of them like a tree. And this is what it looks like in my head, is these fucking mandrake drawings.
This is terrible. That whole thing you just said, everything about what you just said is terrible. I don't like knowing that that's a thing that exists on Earth, because eventually it will kill us all.
Right?
It will. Like, when others, aliens are like, there used to be a thing called Earth and there are people. And someone goes, well, what happened to them? Someone is going to tell the story about those aliens. That's going to be what happens to people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, are you though? Are you sorry?
I'm not sorry. You're right. That's fair. I'm not.
And in summation, the mandrakes are terrible.
Yes, agreed. So he's on his way when fucking Gilderoy takes Harry aside. Harry. Natural to want a bit more once you've had that first taste, and I blame myself for giving you that. It was bound to go to your head. But you can't start flying cars to try and get yourself noticed. Just calm down, all right? This guy. He's so awful. I hate him.
I love, too, that when they roll up to class, Professor Sprout is looking really, really annoyed, and it's so clear that she's annoyed because Lockhart has just been being a pain in the dick. And then later on, we see the same look on Hagrid's face.
Yes. Oh, I forgot that he tells Hagrid how to get rid of kelpies or something in a well. Something.
Yeah. And she, he's like, Professor Sprout won't mind if I have you for a few minutes. And like, she's a look on her face. But Lockhart's so oblivious. He doesn't even see how people are reacting to him. He's completely oblivious to Harry is trying desperately to get away from him.
Sorry guys, I hit my mic as I'm trying to so this is when we learn about once Harry is released from the grasp of his psychotic teacher. He learns about mandrakes and their restorative properties. They're used to return people who have been transfigured or cursed to their original state. Which winds up being very relevant in this particular book. And then they are all given earmuffs and instructed to repot the mandrakes. And
which turns out to be much more complicated than it looked like.
I love this so much. Like, it's just so goofy. It's so I just love it. Just like the fucking things are like putting up a fight, don't want to do this. It's like trying to put a cat in a carrier.
That sounds about right.
Not having it.
They don't want to be taken from the soil, but they also don't want to go back into the soil.
Right, exactly. So then we have
McGonagall's class, I think, is next.
Oh, well, I was going to mention Justin Finch Fletchley, because he comes up here and there in the books, and he's so obnoxious. And I always forget his name, because it's a very forgettable name. But yeah, he's like, that Lockhart's something. Have you read his books? If I'd have been cornered in a telephone box by a werewolf, but he just stayed cool and zap. Just fantastic. My name was down for Eden, I can't tell you how glad I am I came here instead. Of course, Mother was slightly disappointed, but since I made her read Lockhart's books, I think she's begun to see how useful it will be to have a fully trained wizard in the family. Oh, he's insufferable. I hate him. And yes, then they go to, let's see, they go out, and this is where he meets Colin Creevey for the first time. gets put on the spot by Malfoy, who's like, what are you, giving out signed photos? And makes it all terrible again. And Lockhart jumps in and is like, oh, you can take a picture of the two of us. How's that? And acts like he's covering for Harry again.
Yeah.
And then they start Gilderoy's class. Gilderoy's class is a class about Gilderoy.
His fucking questionnaire that's all about him. He's like, I want to see how much you glean from the books. And it turns out to be things like, what's my favorite color? What, what would my ideal gift be?
Oh my God.
What is your opinion of my greatest invention? Just like, and it's like 54 fucking questions.
I should fucking make one of these for myself to give to like,
oh my God,
this will be the quiz for people if they want to become patrons. I'll be like, listen, are you really a fan? I'm going to give them the same quiz that dudes give girls when they say that they like comics or video games or something. Let's find out if you're a true fan. What's my favorite color? I'd be so annoying.
I'm sure you wouldn't have any trouble coming up with those questions either.
Oh, you know I wouldn't. The only problem is I'm so indecisive I wouldn't know the answer.
Oh, God.
So I'd be like, what's my favorite color? And they'd be like, pink? Turquoise? Is it purple? And I'd be like, sure. Yeah, let's go with those.
Yes.
His favorite color is lilac. Oh, of course it is. I need a very particular name for a color. What's a name for hot pink that's like really...
Fuchsia? No.
Fuchsia's a little purplier, isn't it?
It is purpley, yeah, it is.
Something like that, though. I'm trying to, like, I would have to come up with a name off of, like, a Maybelline lipstick.
I was going to say, like, when you buy all that stuff that's almost pink in color, what color is it when you buy it? Is it just...
It's always just listed as pink.
But
let me see what Maybelline calls, like, a hot pink lipstick, or somebody calls it. Lime Crine calls it pink velvet. That's pretty good. Ooh, MAC has a hot pink lipstick called Candy Yum Yum.
See, that's what I was going to say, is that makeup nowadays, all the names aren't even color related. They're just feelings and moods.
Yeah, that's fair.
Downtown Friday night. Sunday morning Eve. I mean, like, different colors.
Candy Yum Yum is pretty great, though. Like, that's just such a dumb name. It sounds like a little kid. They're just like, yeah, I don't know. Have your little sister name it. That's fine. I'll go with Candy Yum Yum.
I remember when Bubblegum Pink was just the color. Bubblegum Pink. And that was being, like, wacky.
Here's a fuchsia, and that's called Flat Out Fabulous.
See, that's not a fucking color.
No.
I have no idea what color that lipstick is based on that name.
This one's called Foiled Rose because it's metallic, I guess.
All right, that one I'll allow.
Girl About Town.
No, see, what did I just fucking say? Downtown Friday night.
Girl About Town. Okay. Candy Yum Yum, everyone. That's my favorite color. You heard it here first. Okay. I clearly state that my ideal birthday gift would be harmony between all magic and non-magical peoples.
Oh my God. This is like a Miss Universe contestant or something.
I'm not sure if I can put that in a box.
He's so disappointed in the class, too, for not, like, getting more answers correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't you know more about me?
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed in you.
You clearly didn't do your homework, class. Yeah, he's...
except for Hermione.
Oh, of course she did. Hermione, I'm so disappointed in you.
I mean, part of it is just because Hermione is Hermione. She's going to do all her fucking homework and read all of everything.
Sure.
But a part of it is that she's also crushing on him so hard. which is a little unforgivable.
Yeah, that's the main thing for me, is the fact that she is normally such a rational person, and yet she doesn't see through this bullshit.
Mm.
Lady. Come on.
Well, she's like 12, so we're gonna give her a pass on this.
That's true. And we also have, so this is when he brings out the pixies, and there's an illustration on this page of all these pixies flying around.
My God. These, okay, first of all, can I draw your attention to the pixie on the upper left-hand corner?
Ooh, he's hairy.
Huh?
He's very hairy.
He's very hairy, and I think he's just sort of sitting with
drunk.
Like his toes up in the air. And then there's like one, the rest of them are like jumping around. One's like dumping ink onto another one's head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they fucking wreck that classroom.
Yeah, they do.
And when he has the cage covered, he does this very dramatic, like, what I've got for you today is dangerous.
Yeah.
Be sure you don't freak out. Remain calm. And when he takes the tarp off or whatever, the class kind of like, are you serious?
They
Those
snort.
Are just little. Yeah, they totally snort. But then shit gets real.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets real in that he just unlocks the cage with no plan whatsoever and bails.
Nope. Yep. He lets them all out and they start to fuck shit up.
Yep.
I mean, they are knocking over everything. Some of them like go out the window and break glass and send glass flying everywhere. Mm-hmm. They're fucking up the kids. They pick Neville right up off of his ass and like carry him a couple feet in the air.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, they pick him right up by his ears or something.
Oh my God.
And then you're right. The class like sort of just like rushes out and Lockhart bails and then locks Harry and Ron and Hermione in the classroom like, oh, you guys handle it.
Yeah, I forgot that he does that. That he does. Let's see. Lockhart gulped, dived under his desk. The bell rang. There was a mad rush. Lockhart straightened up, caught sight of Harry, Ron, Hermione. Well, I'll ask you three to just nip the rest of them back into their cage. He swept past them and shut the door quickly behind him. This motherfucker.
Yeah. And this is the first day, right?
Yep, it sure is. He's setting a real fine precedent.
Where is Dumbledore, and why isn't he calling him into his office post-haste?
I almost want to, I want to believe, and this is something that I've seen around, like, various theories about what the fuck Dumbledore was thinking when he hired this guy. And my personal favorite is that Dumbledore was just giggling to himself going, oh, this is going to be hilarious. Because he knew that this guy was completely full of shit. Just hilarious to sit back and watch because some people just want to see the world burn.
Oh.
I love your reaction to that. Oh.
Because I waffle my feelings on a lot of these characters. Just, they change depending on my mood and what I'm reading at the time. So I go back and forth with Dumbledore. So I'm so frustrated by so many of his decisions. But then I'll come around and be like, well, in the end, though.
Yeah. But
then you see stuff like this. And when you say maybe he just would have giggled to himself, part of me is like, maybe. And that is not something I love.
Right.
That is not like a trait of his that's my favorite. I mean, Hagrid does say that, they couldn't really get anybody else for the job. But the thought that Dumbledore would enjoy this kind of chaos makes me just so frustrated.
It's just a theory.
Yeah, but I feel like it's got a grain of truth in it.
Ah, that's fair.
So Lockhart, doesn't he try to do a spell too and it totally doesn't work?
Yeah, Pescapisci
Oh,
Pestronomi. Yeah, and it does zilch.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, he doesn't bail until it's established that he can't do anything. So, that's something, right? Ugh.
And even Hermione is just like, well, he just wants to give us hands-on extra credit or hands-on experience.
Oh, my God.
This is really good. This is fine, guys. This is totally fine. He meant to do this.
I feel like that's like... I'm going to get political for a hot second.
You get out of here.
Just for a second. I feel like Hermione is doing the thing that a lot of people did at the beginning of this administration where they tried to act like this was all part of some greater plan.
Oh, yeah, sure.
When in fact, no, it's just a disaster. Sometimes things are just a disaster. I know it's like much more comforting to believe that someone has it under control somewhere, but then there's reality.
Yeah. Just because you want it doesn't mean it's true.
Yep.
Shit is just actually fucked right now.
Yep.
And Hermione, Lockhart is just garbage.
And, Hermione is the person to not want to think that a teacher doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So I guess,
sure.
Yeah.
That's totally in line with her. I love that Ron and Harry are like, no, though.
Right.
No.
Yep. Yeah, they are both just... They're both trying to get Hermione woke, and she won't do it.
Nope.
She's like,
She's
no, the police are on our side. So, Chapter 7, Mudbloods and Murmurs. Harry's ducking Lockhart, as you do. And then he gets woken up at the ass crack of dawn to go to Quidditch practice, which he is not appreciative of.
Yeah. I mean, you could give us a little notice. You could have told somebody the night before would. But,
right?
That's totally cool, though.
I'd like to think that he's so paranoid that he didn't tell anybody because he wanted to make sure nobody would ever find out and see them practicing.
That is so fucking amazing. I bet you're right.
But it's so, pointless because then they're spotted, right away, basically. But, yeah, he probably thought he was being, real secret. So Harry gets tailed by Colin, who's for some reason awake at this godforsaken hour. Right?
He heard somebody say Harry's name, and he was like, oh, I'm up now. I'm up.
Oh, my God. Kid, get a life. Holy shit. It's like me when somebody mentions cake. I'm like,
oh my God,
in 2 houses over, and I just stick my head out. Hey, somebody, I don't know if you guys, no? Okay. So Harry explains to him how to play Quidditch. Are you still laughing at that bad joke I just made?
I am a little bit.
Oh, God. And they do their practice and get interrupted by the Slytherins, who got given a special dispensation because they have to train their new Seeker.
Yeah. Oh, man. You guys. So, all right. I hate when Draco wins. I hate when he has a good moment.
That's fair.
I hate it. But this is a little small victory for him because he shows up and he's the new Seeker, and his father has bought the entire team top of the line broomsticks, which probably doesn't have anything to do with how he ended up becoming a Seeker, right?
Definitely
those are two completely unrelated events.
I resent the implication.
Right? And he gets a couple of good lines off about the Weasleys, sad broomstick. And yeah, they got this bullshit note from Snape, who gave them permission to use the Quidditch pitch. even though it wasn't available to be used. It was already booked.
Right.
So I don't know what Snape thinks he's doing.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
Yeah.
It's booked, but he's like, yeah, but here's a note, though. Oh, okay, you motherfucker.
So, so it starts off with just sort of like a very like pissing contest between the two teams, you know, and they're throwing jobs back and forth. And then Hermione and Ron make their way onto the field because they're just supposed to be watching in the stands with Colin.
Right.
And they see the brouhaha make their way down. And then it happens.
Ron decides that a broken wand is the perfect thing to use to cast a really gross spell.
Yeah.
And it goes about as well as one would expect.
Yeah. Malfoy calls her a mudblood. Shit pops off. Ron is incensed. And then spends the next couple pages throwing up slugs, which is really gross.
Oh, so disgusting. This is a hard one for me. Like, there's plenty of, like, you know, gross stuff in these books when you get right down to it, but that throwing up slugs thing.
Yeah.
That's just extra.
And he kind of takes it in stride.
Yeah, I guess he does. Yeah.
I mean, I would be freaking the fuck out. I would be running around screaming, and it would be such a fucking scene. Everyone would know that I was throwing up slugs. Everybody would know it. And he's just kind of like acting like he just has indigestion, basically. Like he's just regular throwing. This isn't regular throwing up. This is different. Right. But he's like having a conversation later in Hagrid's hut, like in between, you know, coughing up. Just no. It's just so horrible. The idea of it. I don't even know where she got it from. Ugh.
Well, I think I talked about this in the first episode where we hit this chapter. Do you remember that? There is a parasite.
Nope, we're done here.
Shellfish.
We're done. Nope, we're done. We're done. This is probably why I don't remember.
You blocked it out.
I can't imagine I let you ever finish that story.
You did, though, because I remember talking about it.
Did you? Okay, then I must have just blocked you out because there's no way I'm letting you finish that story now. I don't want to hear the end of that sentence.
Oh, yeah, it was one of those things that, like, you know how it is when you go to a class and you only remember, like, two things? I had to do a class for food safety, and I remember barely anything, but I remember that because it was so horrifying.
Nope. Oh my God. Oh God.
Yes, I think I broke with Sean.
This is the kind of thing that'll do it. I mean, I know I've talked to you before on the podcast. I know I've talked to you privately, and we talked a little bit about it tonight before we start recording. I just cannot even with things that get inside you and then live. Yeah. Like it's too much. I think I even said on the podcast before that there's that show that comes on Animal Planet that if I accidentally turn to while it's on, I have a mini breakdown. It's that animals inside of us.
Monsters
inside of us. That's what it's called. Yep. Oh. What a world.
Yeah, that one was just like, so it's, yeah. And it's like one of those things that sometimes it's fine, like if it's cooked and things like that. But if it's not cooked properly, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like oysters or it was some kind of like seafood.
You know what? I bet that's why you're not supposed to eat seafood. I bet that's why. The Bible says you're not supposed to eat that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why the Bible was taking the same class as me.
It's true though, like all the unclean foods that you're not supposed to eat.
Pork.
There's like
pork had trichinosis, but that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But at the time, that was some serious concerns. I was going to say serious shit, but then I realized that was too closely tied to symptoms.
No, it's vomiting up worms.
What is?
This parasite that I was talking about. You vomit up worms.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And then the illustration of it, like, do you see this? Oh, turning the page. Yeah. There's slugs all over the next page. Turn to the next page. Ugh, more slugs. Ah, can I get away from them? God damn. But yeah, this is when they find out what, like, basically the baggage behind the words mudblood is. And Hagrid just kind of flat out says to Ron that he doesn't blame him for trying to curse Malfoy. He's just kind of like, there you go.
Yeah, Hagrid can't even believe that somebody would say that to her, to anybody, but say it to her. Like, he's genuinely shocked that a kid, I think, would use that word. It's so uncouth,
Yeah.
And I imagine, I don't know if this is supported, but I feel like the time leading up to where we are now in Hogwarts was a time where you didn't say that word in mixed company. Like, it fell out of fashion.
Yeah, agreed.
To be vocal or be overtly racist, kind of like real life. And then some shit happens and there's a power change and suddenly it becomes more acceptable to say it again and people become more brazen. So I feel like it's probably been a long time since a student called another student mudblood, like right out in the open like that.
Probably.
So everybody is just like, oh my God, I can't even believe he said it. But then just a couple of books later, people are saying that shit all day, every day.
It's in the fucking, it's almost in, like, legit literature from the Ministry. Like, just shy of it,
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah, this is like, I also like to think that part of the reason that Malfoy just blurts this out here is because of his father being like, oh, you got beaten by a girl. So he just had nothing else to say and was just bitter.
Yeah. And also, it's he hears it all the time at home.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Most
definitely.
So, yeah. And then once he says it, he's off and running. Like, Malfoy never goes back from saying it.
Yeah.
Once it calls her that the first time, he just, it's what he calls her forever.
Yep. All right, this seems like a good time to take a break and have a little bit of a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Unspoiled Network has a new sponsor, and it's a really great one. I'm sure you've heard of subscription boxes. I get a few myself. There are so many out there, basically for everything you could want. Well, we're all a bunch of Harry Potter fans around here, and we're lucky enough to have AccioBox as our new sponsor. AccioBox is even cooler than the other subscription boxes out there because they curate special fan-made Harry Potter items from around the internet rather than fill their boxes with the same old items that you can get at your local stores or in other boxes. In their boxes, you will get 3 to 5 items each month for $39.99. But if you use the promo code UNSPOILED, you get a 10% discount. Check out their Facebook page and their Instagram at the AccioBox for more information and peeks at the items from their boxes. I know I'll be placing an order, and we hope you do too. That's AccioBox, promo code UNSPOILED.
Okay, and we're back. And if you are not a fan of commercial breaks in podcasts, you should become a patron because they don't get commercials. So Hagrid's growing some giant pumpkins and makes sure to pull Ron away as he starts to burp up slugs onto his precious pumpkins. And then they have to go do their detentions, and Harry has to help Lockhart fill out his fan mail.
Yeah, because Lockhart has requested him, specifically because he's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And Harry is like, I would much rather go with Ron to polish silverware with Filch. Which that's how terrible Lockhart is, that Filch is a better alternative.
Right? Yikes.
Like, that's where you stand.
And while Harry's doing this, he hears something super creepy. Come to me. Let me rip you. Let me tear you. Let me kill you. And Harry jumps and is like, what? And Lockhart has been talking and is like, I know.
Right.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I love that.
And
but of course,
turns
Lockhart
out,
doesn't. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it turns out they've been there 4 hours.
Yeah.
How is that allowed?
It's like a Saturday night, but I still feel like that's excessive.
That he should get credit towards his next detention for that. That's what should happen here. But anyway, so Harry goes back to his.
He gets back before Ron's not even back yet.
That's true. I didn't even think of that. These kids are getting abused up at Hogwarts. Let's just say what it is. Let's just call a spade a spade.
And these are supposed to be like the good old days of Hogwarts before the terrible shit really happens.
Oh, damn. So, yeah, he comes back and tries to tell Ron, and Ron's just like, that doesn't sound good. Like, somebody invisible would have had to open the door, but he says he didn't hear it, so that doesn't make sense either. Which is, they're all fair points.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next chapter is the Death Day party, and this chapter gives me anxiety also. This book is just filled with real anxiety-inducing stuff for me. And it's not like it's really actually high stakes, which I think is what makes the anxiety worse for me. That it's all kind of like petty social stuff in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And that just like makes it more frustrating, because you can't like go to anybody and request help when it's something dumb like this.
Yeah, that's that particular sort of impotent feeling you get when you're this age, 12 years old, that's middle school, when kids are at their probably absolute worst. Mm-hmm. And you really do feel like you're living in a separate world from adults.
Right.
And, there's just no way to go to them for help with any of this because, A, they're not going to take you seriously because it will seem very petty to them, mm-hmm. In the grand scheme of things, it won't seem very important. But to you as the kid, it, makes all the difference in the world. Yeah. It can really make like your entire life miserable. Yeah, it's a real kind of like feeling powerless. And then you try to do things to control it or take power back, and those things backfire, and it's a hard time.
Right? Yeah. And all you get is people just being like, in 10 years, you're not even going to remember this. Yep. Fuck you, 10 years. What do I give a shit about 10 years from now for? Like, I might not even be here. Don't tell me that.
Yeah. I was not a fan of it when it was happening. I'll say that.
Same.
Not my fondest hours.
So, it's October. Their training sessions are very damp because there has just been rainstorms. And Fred and George had been spying on the Slytherin team, and they are very impressive on their fancy new brooms, which is not giving anybody much confidence. And Harry comes across nearly headless Nick on his way back to the common room one day. And he shares with Harry some of his frustration about getting turned down for membership in the Headless Hunt, which is the best thing. Because it's basically like he got turned down for like country club membership.
Yeah, because his head is not completely severed from his body.
Yep. It's so great.
It's
I love it.
It's just like it's so ridiculous, but it's so funny, and he's outraged.
Yep.
And I think he should be. It seems patently unfair, and I want to know what the appeal process is.
Agreed. So he's in the middle of talking to Harry, and Mrs. Norris comes out, and she's spying for Filch, who gets very upset that Harry is standing in the middle of the hallway, dripping muck all over. And he decides that he's going to give Harry detention, which doesn't feel like it's a thing that should be able to happen, but apparently it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, well, whose authority is he handing out detention?
Right.
Like, he doesn't consult with anybody else. He just takes this kid and sits him, to do some kind of, drudgery. With
drudgery.
I don't know if he has that kind of power.
Yeah, it really is kind of the, like, I have power until someone calls me on it, is what it feels like.
Like if McGonagall happened to be walking by, if she were having to walk by at this precise moment where Filch is handing out detention and trying to drag Harry to his, his dungeon or whatever, and she said, "Harry, go to the common room right now," is Filch going to be like, "No, he can't. He's doing detention."
Right.
But no, Harry's going to do whatever McGonagall says because she outranks him. It just really does feel like no one else is around, so he can do this.
Yep. I think you're right. And I guess he's not wrong because Harry isn't calling him on it. Right? So like,
you mean like not arguing about the detention?
Yeah, because I feel like it's sort of, it's just basically like unless somebody says otherwise, I'm going to do this. And nobody is saying otherwise. So I guess he wins?
I guess.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Well, there it is.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking, for some reason, as I read this, you're right, Harry doesn't argue at all. But it feels like Harry is just really tired and kind of wiped out. Mm-hmm. And he just, doesn't care.
Yeah. That's
I don't know.
Thing.
It just feels like he doesn't have any fight in him at this moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. It's just kind of like, all right, fine, whatever. Let's just get it over with, you fucking weirdo, And he's in the middle of this when there's a very loud noise from above his head. And it turns out that Peeves has damaged what Filch calls later a very valuable vanishing cabinet. This vanishing cabinet just keeps getting shoved in our faces. And while he's busy chasing down Peeves, Harry notices something on his desk from a company called Quickspell and reads it without really understanding what it is. But basically, it's promising to teach Filch magic.
Yeah. It's sad.
Right?
Remember those things that would be like, "Are you an artist? Draw this turtle and then mail it back."
Oh my God. I forgot about those. Yes. It's kind of amazing too, because you just had the exact reaction that Ron has later, where he laughs, but then he stops himself and is like, well, it's not funny really, but seeing as it's Filch, he just has this moment of I should maybe be ashamed of myself, but also fuck that guy. And I feel you. I do, Ron. But yeah, Harry reads this, tosses it back on the desk the second before Filch comes back in. Filch totally can tell that Harry was reading it, but is so embarrassed that he doesn't even want to like be around Harry now, and sends him off without him even doing a detention, really.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he asks Harry right out, like, did you read it?
Mm-hmm.
And Harry tries to lie, but like nobody's buying it. And he's like really upset. Filches.
Right.
And does this thing where, you know, it's not even for me. But if it was for me, I'd be super pissed if he read it.
It's like if Harry opened up his, like, dick enlargement kit.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's not mine.
Did, though, didn't he?
Basically.
He kind of did do that.
A little bit. Ugh.
And he tells Harry not to tell anybody either. Don't you, you know.
Which Harry is like, yeah, of course not, guys. Oh, my God. Immediately. So Harry is like indebted at this point to Nick, and is like, man, I wish there was something I could do for you. And Nick's like, hey, funny you should say that, because you could totes come to this party and tell this dude who denied me membership how terrifying I am and how intimidating you find me. And Harry's like, sure, okay, I guess. Not really stopping to think about the fact that this is going to be on the same day as the Halloween feast, and he's going to be super bummed that he can't go to that. So the Death Day party is really weird. There's weird musical Saw music. All of the food is super rotten, and the ghosts walk through it with their mouths open to try and taste it.
Yeah.
I really love the illustration in here, though, of the table. Have you gone to that page yet?
Oh, yeah, here we go.
It looks like, you know, what Martha Stewart would do for a Halloween table. This is totally a thing.
Yeah, everything looks like pretty disgusting, actually. Mm-hmm. You know, there's bugs crawling all over the food. The fish is rotten. There's like maggots in the meat. And,
yep.
Yeah.
Mushrooms growing up off of like this cake over here.
Yeah, so, it's pretty gross.
Yeah, and like this is the makes it, because it's bad enough to miss the Halloween feast, but they're also human people who need to eat, and they see the table and come running over like, oh, thank God, something to eat. And it's like, nah. Oh, it's gross. And fucking Hermione goes and says something about Myrtle. And she says that, you know, it's awful trying to have a pee with her wailing at you. And Peeves overhears her and has to like go and yell to Myrtle.
Oh my God.
He's such a dick. Miss Granger was just talking about you, said Peeves slyly in Myrtle's ear. Just saying how nice you look tonight, said Hermione, glaring at Peeves. Myrtle eyed Hermione suspiciously. You're making fun of me, she said, silver tears welling rapidly in her small, see-through eyes. Yeah, so then she starts crying.
Because that's what she does.
Yep. What do you think? I don't know what people call me behind my back? Fat Myrtle, ugly Myrtle, miserable, moaning, moping Myrtle. You missed out, Spotty, Peeves hissed in her ear.
He's such a dick.
Moaning Myrtle burst into anguished sobs and fled from the dungeon. Peeves shot after her, pelting her with moldy peanuts, yelling, Spotty, Spotty!
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's the worst.
This fucking illustration on this next page is pretty fucking intense.
Right? Yeah, I kind of want to use this for the blog post. I'm hoping that I can find it. Because it's, you know, I can't take a photo of the pages. It's not the same. But because of the way it crosses over 2 pages, sometimes it's hard to find, like, good what's the word I'm looking for? Like complete copies of illustrations from these that I can use that aren't cut off because the head is on the other page. But yeah, so Harry tries to do his thing where he's like, I find him very intimidating. And Sir Patrick is just like, I bet he asked you to say that. So he totally has Nick's number. And then when Nick tries to give his speech, he gets interrupted by the Headless Hunt playing basically floor hockey with their heads.
Yeah, and he can't play because his head's still attached.
Yup. That's just insulting.
Then they do a little thing with Hermione and Ron and Harry too. Mm-hmm. Like what's his name? Patrick. Sir Patrick plays with them a little bit, and they get kind of like, you know, a little nervous.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like they're ever actually in any real danger.
No, definitely not.
But
I feel like students are probably off limits.
Yeah, but the mood in the room kind of changes.
Yeah, definitely. That's true. So then Harry's like, all right, we've got to go. And they, as they're leaving, hear that voice again. And Harry's trying to follow it. And he can hear it like getting louder, and he thinks it's going to kill somebody. And when he comes around the corner, there is a weird puddle on the floor. There's something written on the wall in what looks like blood. The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the air, beware. And Mrs. Norris is hanging by her tail from underneath the writing, and she is petrified. And
I didn't love this.
Yeah, it's messed up, man. It's messed up.
And Harry is like, we should probably do something. And Ron is like, no, we need to go.
Yeah, Ron's the smart one in this moment.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. But it doesn't matter because everybody basically, you know, like the hallway is filled with kids coming back from the feast, I think.
Yeah, yep.
And there they are, kind of like standing underneath this petrified cat with this weird message scrawled on the wall. Looking a little guilty as fuck, actually.
Yeah, right? Like, it's just not a good way to get caught out, guys. You don't want to be there. But it's too late.
Yeah.
And
then
Malfoy.
Fucking Malfoy. He takes command of this whole scene.
You'll be next, Mudbloods. And I'm just like, dude, your dad would be like holding his head in his hands if he saw you at how fucking dumbass you are being right now. Ugh, what a dumb kid you have, Malfoy.
Talk for a second about how worked up he gets. Mm-hmm. You know, like he really doesn't take but a split second for him to take the situation and use it, like turn it into even more of a weapon. Completely. And how much like satisfaction he gets out of it. Mm-hmm. You know, like his, you know, it says that his bloodless face was flushed and he was grinning at the sight of the cat hanging, which only a fucking psychopath would do.
Right.
Yeah. You're right, though. His father would have been like, this is not, you're making a scene and you're drawing attention to us in a way that we don't need right now. You're making us like vocal enemies of, I don't want to call it, of Muggle-born wizards or whatever.
Right.
And we are trying to be in the shadows right now, and here you are fucking broadcasting it for anybody to hear. His father would have to do.
Especially considering that his father's the one who does, like, put this all in motion for the chamber to be opened. Mm-hmm. So his son is out here blowing up his spot, kinda.
Kind of. Like, yeah, you just unwanted attention to our family, making us look like we're fucking guilty.
Mm-hmm.
We are.
Exactly. So that's the end of the chapter, pretty much.
It is. It just ends with him grinning like a fucking maniac, and taking responsibility practically for this thing he didn't even do.
Basically. And we're almost halfway through the book already.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy.
When I finished reading tonight, I was like, shit, that went by really fast. I have to get to the next book.
Yeah, right? You okay there? You sounded crazy.
Sorry, I yawned.
Wow.
Hey, guys.
So, I want to say hi to new patrons real quick before we wrap up. This week we have John Tansik, Joshua Broussard, Melly B, Carrie Keenum, Ken Pocklatar, Anton, our very own Anton, has become a patron, and Tommy. So welcome to all of you wonderful people. If you're interested in becoming a patron, go to patreon.com/unspoiled, and you can pledge whatever you think is fair, and there are all kinds of different tiered options. And if you are a patron already and you are $10 and above, make sure to get your address up on your profile, because otherwise I won't be able to send you your awesome postcard. And I want to do that, guys. I really do. So those are our patrons this week. I haven't actually checked to see if we have any new reviews, but I'm going to look at that right now. And new donors, we've got a few of those too. So this last week we got Megan Walsh, Katie Druba, who says, love the show, enjoy the park. Anonymous. Molly Murray, who says, have a ton of fun, wish I could go. Your podcasts give me life during long, boring drives for work. Yay. Thanks, Molly. Brittany Erdman, who says, I hope you guys have the best time. And Anonymous. Welcome to all of you guys. Thank you so, so much. You're going to be getting the special episode once we record that. And that brings us up to 1,450 out of 2,000. Christ. So we are very close. It is amazing. It's crazy. You guys are maniacs. And I just want to, especially say thank you to everybody who donated $5, because I know what it's like to only be able to donate $5. I get it. And it adds up. I don't want anybody to ever feel like, oh, $5, what's the point? I'm not even going to do it. No, seriously, do it. Because if everybody who didn't think $5 meant anything did it anyway, that shit would be taken care of, probably, honestly. So yeah, thank you all a ton. And I also want to say thanks to people who have been using the Amazon affiliate link, because I think part of it might be that I've changed the way that the website is configured, but it's unspoiledpodcast.com/Amazon if you're interested in using it. And I've seen an uptick that has grown enough that we are almost at the levels I was at Christmas time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's been really, really steady. And I think there have been a few people that have placed large orders and made sure to use the link for it and everything. And it really, really has an effect. So thank you all so much for continuing to do that. And especially if you bookmarked it, because then you're not even thinking about it and it still works. So yeah, thank you guys all for that. And a reminder, if anybody is interested in the trip to Orlando, the dates are going to be from we'll be arriving on the 28th in the morning, and we'll be doing the actual Harry Potter part of the parks on the 29th, the rest of the parks on the 30th, and then on the 1st we'll be doing the water park, and then Saturday, the 2nd, we will be doing the live recording and watching Wizard People, Dear Readers, with the first movie. So that's the plan, because I've had some people get in touch with me saying that they can come down for a day or two, but they're not sure which days they should come for because we might not be at the park the whole time. So just, for all of you who are wondering. And I just checked. We have 288 reviews. So that's amazing. So thank you guys so much for that.
288?
Yeah.
Wow.
Soam414, Pagan Punk Poet. These are great. I love these names. This podcast is everything. I laughed. I cried. I told every single one of my friends, and I would definitely do it again. Oh, that's so sweet. It's fun to see what an adult HP newbie sees in the plot, because reading them for the first time as a much younger person didn't come with that kind of insight. Yeah, that's definitely true. Oh, and then somebody says, I'm a grandma who's obsessed with the series. That's so sweet. I love this. Natasha, I would not be able to keep from replying to Rashawn's predictions and ideas. Well done. Thank you guys all so much. This is so sweet. And somebody says, this is another one. I came across this podcast based on a recommendation from someone in the Hogwarts Running Club. That's the second person I've seen say that. That's really interesting.
Oh, great.
So what a random thing. But yeah, thanks guys if you're talking about the show, because that's like really what makes people get into it. I don't pay that much attention to like articles and stuff when they're like, hey, you should listen to this. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, sure. You know me. But if it's a person that I know and trust and they're like, no, I've listened to it, it's great, that's totally different. And I'm definitely going to give that a lot more credence. So it has an effect. And thank you guys for talking about us and recommending us. I'm sure I'm missing something. Check out our awesome new sponsor, AkioBox, and use code UNSPOILED to get 10% off of your first 3 boxes. It's a Harry Potter subscription box. Kind of a genius idea. There are subscription boxes for everything. It's bananas.
Yeah, I'm finding that out. More and more things are popping up.
I'm trying to get like a affiliate link for Cratejoy, because they do a bunch of kind of subscription boxes like in one place. And I've been exploring, and there are ones that are like, oh, we'll send you one book, a bath bomb that goes with the theme of the book, and like some cookies and a type of tea that go with the like type of book it is. I'm like, this is genius. It's like very extra, but like the extra in exactly the kind of way that I want to be extra. It just like pinpoints all of the things that I get obsessive about, and they're like, oh, we're obsessive in the same way. Here, we'll actually do it for you, and we'll do it perfectly. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, my people. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you what box that is, guys, until I get my affiliate link from Cratejoy. You'll just have to wait and see. But we should be getting our boxes from AkioBox really soon, because they said it was going to be in the first week or two. Yeah, first week or two of August. So
I'm so excited. Oh, what address did you use?
I don't remember.
Hope it wasn't my work address.
That's true, huh? Maybe I should email them. Yeah, you send me your home address and I'll email them and just be like, guys. All right, everybody. Well, I think that's everything. Anything you want to add, Mademoiselle?
No, ma'am. I wish I could remember what day the Smash Fiction podcast was coming out. I think Miles said they put it up on 30th. But I will be guesting on Smash Fiction podcast with our friend Miles. And as soon as I find out, I will post it in the group so you guys can pick it out.
Yeah, by the time this is out on iTunes, it'll definitely be up.
Cool.
So yeah, guys, check that out. It's Miles teamed up with Rashawn backing Minerva McGonagall against Granny Weatherwax. Is that her name?
Mm-hmm. From the Discworld.
From Discworld, which I had never read.
I haven't either. But after hearing a little bit about it, I think I might check them out.
Yeah, that's one of those that I had considered doing for the show, but apparently it's like even longer than the Dresden Files. And people say that it's kind of inconsistent, so I haven't gotten a lot of like, yeah, cover that, from people. So it's been on the list, but it's not like at the top of the list. But, if you guys are listening and you really think that would be something worthwhile, let me know, because I tend to take it into consideration how much I hear from people that I should cover something. But yeah, I think that's it. All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. We love you dearly. You can find us on unspoiledpodcast.com, facebook.com/unspoiledpod, Twitter at unspoiledshow, Instagram at unspoiledpodcast. You can shop on Amazon at unspoiledpodcast.com/Amazon. And you can donate at gofundme.com/unspoiledhpworld. And yeah, that's everything. All right. Well, thank you again, everyone. And we'll see you next week with 3 more chapters. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.